What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kofi Kingston, aka 1/3 of the New Day. You're not gonna say it with me, sir? Yeah, come on, you better participate. Let's try it again. 1/3 of the New Day, and you are watching The Young and the Wrestlers. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to the Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast. I'm one of your hosts, and alongside me, once again, as I gave him the big spiel on the SmackDown in review, he's a wrestling podcast. He's the power of positivity on wrestling Twitters. He's a TikTok celebrity. Asterisk for us. It's Josh Robinson.
Hey, I'm here again. I couldn't miss it for the world. And just to let everyone know that my TikTok fame is real, your boy passed 100 followers.
Well, then I take that to us back. That is legitimate YouTube, TikTok celebrity right there. So this is where the big sponsor deals and stuff come in now. And next thing you're TikToking for like Pringles ads and shit. You know what I mean?
I'm calling my boss tomorrow. Job's done. I don't need to work anymore. Yeah. TikTok fame is real. She'll understand. She'll get it.
Yeah, she'll get it. You're like, look, I'm essential. And she goes, but aren't you already essential? I'm like, no. Now I'm essential.
I'm actually essential now. Sorry, Woolies. Much love. Thanks for the 7 years.
This is our Raw in review, and it comes at you every Thursday morning on your podcast services, 8 a.m. That's 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join this wrestling conversation, head over to facebook.com/group/popculturist, Twitter, Discord, Instagram. All those links are in the down below area. If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this shit live, as well as our other show for the players. That's our PlayStation podcast. And one thing we'd like to do, if you'd be so kind, would be share the conversation. Tell your friends, tell your family about this little wrestling pod. Be sure to give it a star rating on your service of choice, or the rating that you believe that it deserves. Maybe you're like 4 stars. Needs more Josh Robinson. I'm like, well, then that's something we'll have to consider. Sorry, Jem. Not gonna happen. I can never get rid of Jem. She's too cool.
We love Jem.
I do. I've all the time in the world for Jem. All the time in the world for Jem.
She's a good egg.
She is a good kid. And we understand that it is a tough time right now, but if you do want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist, or you can buy our merchandise at popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Now, it's only been a couple of days, Josh, but what's been going on? How you been?
More of the same.
Yeah.
I mean, what is there? Life is just kind of a constant cycle at the moment. Not to sound depressing, but it is. Just calling it like it is. But hey, I'm fine. I'm TikToking along, Twittering along, as I normally do. Yeah,
no, it is a bit of situation just going through the motions right now, which is fine, because nothing wrong with going through the motions. So I've been trying to spice it up a little bit and put some change on it. So I've not played as many games this week. So the last couple of days I have been into the mini painting. I picked up this game called Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I've just been painting fucking Marvel characters. I've got Iron Man here. I've got Thor. I've got a car. I don't know where that was in the Avengers, but I'm sure he was there. And then there's a bunch more over there. And you have a cat.
My cat is here. I'm sorry, everyone. Go away, Giddy. Making a cameo appearance. I'm sorry.
That's right. That Twitter famous Giddy. But we are here to talk about Monday Night Raw, once again taking place in the Performance Center, because that's where it lives now. Interesting set of events here tonight, Josh. So let's kick things off at the start. So it does open the show with MVP. He's doing a VIP lounge. Now, this is the thing I don't understand. Not growing up watching wrestling when MVP was around, I don't give 0 fucks about this guy. I cannot care. Should I care about MVP?
Sure. I mean, sure. MVP was like that This has been a thing on wrestling Twitter lately. 2008 roster was stacked, apparently. Everyone keeps posting about how 2008 WWE roster was the best ever. MVP was around in that time. Should you care? I mean, maybe. He didn't do anything of no significance, but he didn't do everything of like super duper, main event significance. So I understand if you don't care about him. Plus, they haven't really done that much to make us care about him since his return at the Rumble. Back at the Rumble. That's like, 4 months ago now?
Well, even then when the Rumble, everyone was like, oh, cool. And then when they did the Monday after, and he's like, yeah, like, the crowd's like, we're aware of your existence, MVP. Thank you for arriving.
Good work,
Yeah, so he was opening the VIP lounge with all the male competitors that are currently for the all three, because there's only three, all the male competitors for the Money in the Bank ladder match. So they had Rey Mysterio come out first, followed by Aleister Black, and then Apollo Crews. Yeah, okay, I'm like, all right, I know where you're going here. Apparently he thinks Apollo Crews is going to win. Ha! But I liked where he was going. In short, they started chatting in the ring. Apollo Crews, he goes to Apollo Crews like, hey, tell us why you think you're going to win. Gives him the mic. Music hits. Out comes the latest stable in WWE. Zelina Vega, Andrade, Austin Theory, Angel Garza. Do they have a name yet? I think they haven't. They should have a name.
I don't think so, unless I've just missed it. But I just called them Zelina's Boiz.
Oh, Zelina's Boiz with a Z.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and an I.
Oh boy! Oh boys!
Boiz.
Oh, I like
Boiz.
I feel
Flavor Flav. Yeah.
They come out and get all like mouthy about how they essentially they should have been in the match. Like they should give up their spots and let these dudes in.
Basically.
Yeah, and as you'd expect, very quickly it breaks into a big punch fest. Yeah. All right.
Can we talk about Zelina's shoes?
Yeah, what the fuck? They were like high-end Spice Girls level platforms.
I was like, you bad bitch, you walk in them. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. So props to Zelina Vega.
I can't even walk in flats. You put me in the heels like that, I'd be fucked. Yeah. Like there was times where she clearly needed assistance down the ramp. I'm like, yeah, because you're wearing other small buildings under your feet. Like it's a.
But I was like, you do you, girl. I'm like, if you want to rock that and you can confidently do that, all the power to you.
And normally Zelina can look fantastic in whatever she comes out in. She's consistently looking good. So on top of that, it's doing it for me. What can I say? It did it for me.
In the words of Booker T, she's almost perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, that led in a bit of a scuffle, which then ended into a 6-man tag match. So the 3-on-3, which was, we'll get into that in just a moment. But I want to talk about something very specific here, Josh, before we get into this party. There were some changes on Raw this week. Changes for the better. Long gone had, quote, the crusty old racist from my friend on Twitter, Jerry the King Lawler, fucking gone. We don't know permanently. We can only hope. Samoa Joe, who's I believe injured, is back in and fucking kills it. Samoa Joe is too good to be just a once-off commentator. He needs to do this. Because, Lawler's supposed to be in there because he's wrestled in the past, he's got some history, and he says shit. Like, Joe says funny shit, good shit, and accurate, commentary because he's a recent competitor. He knows who's in the ring. He doesn't say racist stuff. He's absolutely amazing. And Chris...
He ain't problematic.
That's true. And Chris in the chat goes, good. Fuck off that human trash bag. So I was very happy on Twitter. I saw, because I didn't watch, I didn't watch it live because I was at work, but I saw Tom Colohue, who is a wrestling insider who for some reason fucking follows me. Like, I've seen him be sourced at a bunch of bigger, better outlets. I'm like, and why you follow me?
Tom's great. I've had many conversations with Tom, not to boast. The TikTok fame, you know, it does get in places.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah, I've had many conversations with Tom, and he is like the kind of wrestling fan that I like to kind of interact with more often, because he's obviously got more insides and sources and stuff than we do. However, he's still a fan, and he still likes to actually, if he's going to analyze especially WWE's product, he's fair about it. He's not just shitting on something to shit on it.
Yeah, like he's not you know, Wrestling Observer. Like, he's not Brian Alvarez and other fuckface who just constantly hate on anything that isn't AEW. I cannot stand them. Get off Dave Meltzer. He can't even string a sentence together. Sarah in the chat, how are we all tonight? We are well, Sarah, and we are keen to continue chatting about wrestling. As we mentioned there, the 3-on-3, Cruz, Mysterio, Black against Andrade, Garza, and Austin Theory. What did you think of this match?
It was, so I think watching this live, I believe this ran for about 3 or 4 segments. I think it took up most of the first hour of Raw.
It was a pretty long time.
It
about
was
the
a good
first 40
match.
minutes or so?
Yeah,
including
something
ad breaks,
like
yeah.
that. A good percentage of the first hour, but it was good. I'm a sucker for a 6-man tag, so it kind of plays into that. And when you have 6 people that aren't necessarily, they're not, like, we've seen Zelina's Boiz for the last few weeks, but they're not, like, they're not super comfortable with each other yet. So it was nice to see that. And then the other side of things, it's like Ray and Black and Cruz. It's like, feels kind of fresh, and I was digging it.
Yeah, look, I agree. In terms of the 3 faces in this scenario, I guess, it was a fresh chemistry between them, because you never really seen them work together before, and they seemed to do well, which was really nice. But it was also it demonstrated this weird, almost like dichotomy with when you look across at Zelina's Boiz, and you look at that and you think to yourself, like, these guys should be a cohesive unit. And there were moments where I wasn't feeling that, and especially when they took the L. And, like, I'm not saying that Zelina is a poor manager. I think there is some green that comes from having Austin Theory and Angel Garza, both previous of NXT, and I think that is kind of showing, especially when they get into these larger matches against bigger, more trained people.
Yeah, I think the saving grace to this unit is Zelina. I think Zelina's their strongest asset, because she's a fantastic speaker. She can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anybody on the mic, which is something that we don't really see too often. You know, there's a pretty big gap between, like, the people that are great and the people that are not so great, and she kind of fits into that category of, like, she's great. The problem is that I'm not one of those people that's like, wins and losses define everything, because I think wrestling's more than a winner and a loss. True. But they haven't won anything.
Yeah. It's the same problem that I have with, like, Sami Zayn's artist collective over at SmackDown. Like, the what Sami spouts is that these guys should be a big force to be worried about. Yeah. Not happening. See, Zelina, her speaker skills don't resonate the same way, so I think it's kind of okay. She's not overselling them, but she's also very passionate about what they can do.
I think what the best part about with Zelina is that she you can tell that she genuinely believes what she's saying, whether it's a piece of paper handed to her or not. You can tell that she's passionate, especially when it comes to Andrade. They just gel together like anything. Like, they're just the best together. They're like chips and dip at this point. It's like, it just goes together. The problem is that I think people are just expecting Zelina to be able to gel with Theory and Garza like that and mesh so quickly. It took time for Andrade and Zelina to kind of find their footing. It's going to take time for this. I think she gels a little bit more with Garza, a little better than with Austin Theory, but I kind of like the fact that Austin Theory is kind of like the odd one out.
Yeah, because like every stable sort of has that. How are you, because we are seeing a lot more groups, a lot more like stables, I guess, making their reappearance in WWE television. How are you, what's your thoughts on that? Are you happy to see these groups, people coming together again?
I'm not a stable guy.
Okay.
I never have been. I never loved it when I was a kid, and it's something that I never really... I appreciate them when they're really good. But I think the difference here with WWE starting to do it again, and the difference between, like I say, if people are into New Japan or if people are into AEW, it's like very trio stable heavy. But WWE isn't, and they're kind of trying to get into that because I think they realize it's working. I'm not against stables. But I don't want stables just to be a stable just because, and just to have numbers of stables. I think it kind of takes away the specialness to them. Like the New Day are so great because there isn't too many people like the New Day. There isn't a group like the New Day. If you have 6 other New Day-like stables, then the New Day gets kind of watered down.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the big difference here, using AEW as an example, is like, because even though they have stables like the Elite or the
Inner Circle.
Inner Circle, thank you. Like they do, so they have the bigger collective, but then they can also be split off into trios or tag teams, and then be split singly.
Yeah.
So we're here, like, you know, like if you look at the Elite as an example, you've got the Elite, then you've got the Bucks, and then you've got, you know, Bucks and Kenny. So they're a nice little trio, and then you've got Omega and Kenny now as well, and Cody's a single, but they can all be singles competitors if they need to.
They can all intertwine with one another, and it doesn't seem odd. I think WWE with Zelina's Boiz are like, they're trying to establish themselves as singles competitors, still come together and trying to get that same effect.
Exactly.
But it just, everything takes a lot of time, and we're not going to get it like super, super quick.
Yeah.
But I'm keen. The best part about, if we can focus on the positive of having no fans, is that they have time to get themselves really familiar with one another. And then when we get back to crowds, whenever that is, they might come across a little bit differently, because we are seeing the birth of a new stable with no fan reaction. So it does allow them to be on television a lot more without people getting bored.
Yes, true.
So that's a good thing. So I think it's just going to take time.
Yeah, no, I think the more being singles competitors will play a role into that, and I think as they do sort of get paired up and do a bit more tag teamy things, or possibly even trio things, we might see that change. Like when you look at compared to say Seth Rollins and the whole Monday Night Messiah gimmick, right? So like, he is the leader, singles competitor. You've got Murphy, also a singles competitor. You've got AOP as the tag team, but then we've also seen Seth and Buddy be a tag team and win titles. So it's like them as more of a stable, kind of, they hit a bunch of different beats, and I think that's probably why they may be a bit of a stronger stable. And especially if Seth Rollins comes out of Money in the Bank as champion, because this week we did see the contract signing between the two of them. Well, apparently we were supposed to. I don't remember if it went down.
I think they both signed it.
Yeah, no, I think they did. Because, like, that's the one, I was painting minis at the time, so I may have zoned out. But, yeah. You run this through me, because I think it's a bit fuzzy in the memory.
The contract signing?
Yes, please.
So, basically, Jerry Lawler was there, by the way, guys. He hosted this whole contract signing between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. And Drew did the best thing of the night. See ya. He was like, Jerry, maybe it's time to leave. You know how these things go. Yep. WWE contract signings, guys.
They always go bad.
Really ever... Someone's end up going through a table, or someone ends up getting punched in the face. It's genuinely how it happens. So I think Drew signed it straight away from memory. And then he started smack talking Seth. He said the S word, guys. He said the S word.
Love it.
He said shit. So there's that. Basically, then they just kind of brawled. That was the basis of this segment. I'm pretty sure. My memory's kind of fuzzy on it too. The end of Raw.
So I'm sitting here having a look at the rundown of what took place on Raw, and I'm pretty confident I missed it, because that was maybe when my son demanded my attention, and I don't think I paused it. Because I'm sitting here going, I'm pretty sure I watched all of Raw, and I look at this, I'm like, oh, I don't remember that.
It's that last segment.
Yeah, I don't remember that last segment at all. I thought I may have missed it.
But it was fine. It was standard. It did its job.
Yeah, so moving into Money in the Bank, when we've got the likes of Drew McIntyre, the newly won champion, against Seth Rollins. Now, where do you sit on how do you think this is going to go? Like, who needs it more?
It'd be... I don't know. I don't want to be this guy either, but it'd kind of be a waste of our time if Drew just lost at this point. You know, I would like to see, I'm not saying like a super duper duper long run of Drew on top, but I really am enjoying Drew McIntyre as champion. And that's coming from someone that I don't dislike Drew, but I'm not like super, super hot on Drew. I like Drew. But I'm enjoying him at the top. It's something different that we haven't seen in a hot minute with someone who's a face who is also genuinely quite cool. Like, Drew's got this coolness to him. He's still a badass, and that's what I kind of want in that face. And he's not problematic. He ain't saying anything on the internet like his challenger did last year and kind of screwed it up for himself. Even though I'm a fan of Seth, it just in the majority he kind of screwed it up for himself. So I'm enjoying Drew. So I don't see Drew losing.
Yeah, so like where I'm, if you look at it from a couple different ways, I think both competitors here do have an investment in. Well, of course, everyone has an investment in winning, but it comes from different reasons. Now, Drew, as you mentioned, it'd be way too soon for him to lose it, so he's going to be going hard, knowing that he has to defend his title reign here. Like, he's got it. He needs to justify that taking down Brock was worth it, and going through all this trials and tribulation to get here is worth it. However. Oh, and also to defend the fact that he's, was the chosen one at some point. Seth Rollins has a different reason here. His need to win here stems from legitimate, like, in order to make himself seem legitimate. Like, with claiming to be the Monday Night Messiah, like, the closest he's had to legitimacy were those tag title belts. So if he was to carry the championship right now, it would, bring attention and demonstrate that he is that guy for Raw. He is the Messiah. He is the one that should be getting the attention, the focus, right? Because like unless he has this, because even his entire Messiah story is a mild redemption story. So it's unsure whether, like, if he was to lose here, would there be a second redemption story? Like, he has to demonstrate that he is the Messiah, quote unquote.
He has to back up those words. He believes he is a god. Like, Seth Rollins believes that. When we were seeing fans, he was going up and shaking the hands of the fans and like, thank you, yes, thank you. And he truly believes that. I think I said this on the SmackDown show. I'm pretty sure I said something in the same regards of Bayley, of like, she genuinely believes that she's doing the right thing. Yeah. Seth Rollins is the same. He believes that this is the right thing to do. And for some reason, he doesn't understand when other people aren't on his side. It's like the WWE Championship signifies that I am this, and you need to believe in my prophecy because, sign up to my prophecy. It's the right way to go. You'll better be a better human. You can be like me, be the champion. And it's not necessarily, I don't think he even thinks that Drew McIntyre is necessarily like the bad guy. Like, he doesn't necessarily believe that. There's a prophecy with Seth that you can really dive into a little bit more. And if you actually like look at the way Seth's mannerisms and stuff, he does stuff a certain way. Like, when Drew said that the word shit, he was like, oh no, that's wrong. You don't say that to me. Like, he believes that he's this higher above everybody else.
But even like, as you mentioned, with the idea of like, he's like, Seth isn't even seeing Drew as an enemy here. Because he talks about in this little thing is like, we are very similar. We've both bet Brock Lesnar for the title. There's a lot of similarities between us. So he's not going in there trying to fight an enemy. He's going there to fight a colleague, knowing that it's almost like I'm sorry, but you're a step in my way. Like, well, I'm not here to like, this isn't some vendetta. He sees the
championship. He doesn't see Drew. He sees that title.
Correct.
That title signifies what he is. It's like, and it's weird, like, I think I obviously, this is similar to Bayley, but with Seth and being the Messiah, being the one to lead, he did lead Raw last year. He led the WWE locker room into a battle with the internet. He was flying that banner and saying, WWE's the best, because why wouldn't he say that? Just for the record, but he's flying WWE's banner and say we are the best in the world, and people were like, no. He was the guy that was postering himself all over that argument. He was the Messiah. That was his prophecy this time last year. Now his prophecy is getting back on top and actually owning up to that, I guess.
Yeah, and so there are certainly people that are following his prophecy, as you know, with the likes of, as you mentioned, AOP and Murphy got involved here as well to sort of get in the way after things got a little bit crazy. See, Murphy's, it's interesting. Like we've discussed this in the past about him, like Seth taking advantage of a moment of weakness after getting those string of losses from Black. He took him under his wing right, you know, at his lowest point. So it's disappointing for him to get involved here and then be the one to take the brunt from Drew rather than the sort of the Seth stuff. But that's cool. That's fine. You do you.
Yeah, I like the pairing of Murphy and Seth. I think they're a good little pairing, and I think it's like another layer to Seth's prophecy and Seth's Messiah stuff, is that, look, there's people that follow me, be like him. And when you think about it, I want to call him Buddy still, I always call him Buddy Murphy, but Murphy took the bullet for his leader. You know what I mean? Like he took the shot,
and especially
for him,
on the back of semi recently, where there were those moments of where Murphy's having that hesitance with, you know, looking for the guidance of Seth, and that what cost him a couple of losses, you know what I mean? So on top of that, it's, I guess maybe this is more of Buddy's way of proving himself in the eyes of Seth. Like Seth could have easily had it here and it wouldn't have been a problem, but maybe he's trying to earn his place almost.
Yeah. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, someone who, I don't know why they still have a place here at WWE, probably only family lineage, is Nia Jax. She was in a planned triple threat with Asuka and Shayna Baszler. However, didn't even take place because there's a lot of ringside bussing.
Not the best.
No. So Asuka comes out at first. She's standing in the ring and she's doing one of those crazy in Japanese promos where there's only a couple of words that make sense. One of them is just Nia Jax, the only word that comes through clear. And everything else is just angry Japanese. So obviously you're a fan of this.
Asuka is the best. She is the best. I love Asuka. She has been the best part. Her and Kairi have been my favorite part about the main roster wrestling since this PC era started, whatever you want to call it, the stuff in the performance setting with no fans. Asuka has been consistently wonderful. I love Asuka's promos, and I love them even more the fact that I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah, because you have to kind of grab
words
what
matter
you can.
as much as context. Yeah, I care. I feel the passion in her voice, the tone that she's speaking these words that I don't want to know what they say. I know I could put subtitles on, or I could find someone that's put the subtitles over them. I don't want to, because I can understand her promo through her body language, and I think that goes from a good performer to a great performer, is when you don't actually know what they're saying, but you actually do know what they're saying.
Well, and that's one of the big things about, particularly in like New Japan, is that because there is that language hurdle, so a lot of it comes in presentation. Like they know they have a worldwide audience, so they look at ways to tell their stories more physically. Like it does become almost more of a play in that sense compared to...
it's very...
Theatrical is the word I wanted.
Yes, that's the word I was like trying to get to as well. But Asuka's eyes always are open, and her mouth opens really wide, and her body and her fingers and like everything else. Just because you can't understand that she's obviously not speaking English, you can understand body language is all the same. We're all humans. We all have the same body language. She really puts that over the top. Wrestling is over the top. Wrestling is kind of silly when you actually break it down. So Asuka's got that silly element to her. She's got that comedy element to her, but she's also very aggressive. To me, she's the ultimate blend of what I love out of a wrestler. She's one of my favorites for a reason.
Yep.
And her promos are just like hands down consistently my favorite part of her. And when she's on commentary, sign me up.
See, it's like I agree, but it's interesting because like I have like almost the opposite approach to the likes of Nia Jax, right? So Shayna Baszler, I have no stance either way. I really enjoyed her at NXT. I liked her being this relentless heel. Like just fucked anyone that came in her way. She just wrecked
Very
them.
different kind of heel.
Yeah.
Even the way she wrestled, like her matches weren't go, 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 like everything is now. It's slow, methodical. I'm going to beat the crap out of you. I'm going to break every limb of your body and I'm going to just destroy you. When Nia is literally going
and
it's
what we sort of have seen recently with the last week of, you know, Indy Hartwell taking, it was almost like hey, you've got the win. She's like, oh no, I don't give a fuck about the win. I want to hurt you. And then that's why I like
wanna
Shayna,
hurt
because
you,
Shayna has that vibe of, I'm just going to fucking hurt you. And then
she's got that like look about her that you kind of like, I don't want to fuck with you
it's
at
the
all.
dark eyeliner. It's the mouth guard that kind of gives her mouth a weird look because it's all black. It's very uncomfortable. But someone that if
She
you
looks like she would hurt you.
yeah, she does. But if you want someone to actually hurt you, you go to Nia Jax. You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nia's a little careless, isn't she?
yeah, and we did. I don't. There's no reports that anyone got injured here, but.
No.
There's a moment where when you look at like when she like hip and shoulders Oscar and Oscar whips into the ground like that, not like that is a painful whip. Like that is, you may need to go speak to a
It's
chiro
weird.
whip.
I actually, Asuka's said it in multiple interviews that one of her favorite people to work with is Nia Jax.
Really?
And that's coming from Asuka, who is, you know, technically one of the better workers, man or woman, in the company, but she says she loves to work with Nia Jax.
Maybe it is. It's that sort of raw power versus like technique sort of thing. Maybe it's a bit of fun to
maybe
work
it is
off.
the kind of Asuka's come from a very physical style of wrestling, and maybe we've seen Nia brings a physical style, if you want to put it in those terms.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
She works a little stiff, guys.
But yeah, look, so she came out victor here. I don't know why, because she's not going to win at Money in the Bank, so I guess this is a little bit of a rub.
Did she, I guess she just stood tall. There wasn't technically a match, was there?
No, it's just like she ran into everyone with a ladder. They all fell out of the
Yeah.
ring, and she's like, I win now. So no really definitive result or anything came out of it.
It was just kind of a few minutes of just them fighting. There is a little part of me, I understand, obviously, Nia Jax and her recklessness. I don't dislike Nia. Like, a part of me does like Nia Jax. And there is a part of me that was like, Nia Jax in a ladder match is something very different, especially on the women's side of things. We've never seen that before, really. So there is that part of me, especially in that headquarters setting. I think that could be fun, but I never ever will go into too much of an argument and try to defend Nia Jax too much, because I'm gonna lose.
Yeah, even when it comes down to like, so the issue that I have with her is obviously the injury is a big problem, but then the recent hypocrisy of her coming out and calling out Ronda Rousey. I think that is wrong. Period. Because you
don't say anything.
No,
you are the worst person to defend that. I get the argument.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I understand the argument full-heartedly, but you're not literally any other person could say it, and I'd be like,
there are genuine statistics. Like I think there was like before she went away for her own injury, she was like 1 in every 10 or something matches. Like she injured someone, or even less than that.
Yeah, I think she's hurt. If you remember this match with Charlotte Flair that she had a couple of years ago, and there was some spots in that was just, what are you kind of doing? I think she's hurt Bayley. Obviously, the Becky moment,
which thankfully turned into a positive, but.
I mean, it was one. It'll go as one of the most, like, I love this word, iconic shots maybe in WWE history. That standing there with the blood, but I mean, it was completely by accident, not by design. But if you can take a positive out of that, but yeah, I never want to say like, oh, you know, this person's a bad wrestler and this person's that, because really, what do I know? I've never been in a ring. However, it's pretty, you know, there's been a lot of cases of Nia Jax in this, but I don't know. I'm still going to be a wrestling fan and still going to be like, I want to see Nia Jax in a ladder match. So
yeah, I think as you mentioned, within the confines of the headquarters, I think that added power would be advantageous, especially because, you know, top floor, just like the only ladder climbing is at the end. Until then, it's just fighting. So that'll be pretty cool. Let's keep it going. We'll talk about the women's matches. We did have another one here tonight. Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott. What do you reckon? I'll let you run this one.
Oh man. So I have thoughts on this. Liv and Nia. I've got Nia Jax on the brain, everybody. Sorry. Who does she fight? Ruby Riott. There we go. Ruby Riott. Liv. Okay, so Liv Morgan has been. I love Liv. I think she's future. Just she is what I want out of the women's division in the next year or two. I think Liv is great. Ruby is also really fantastic, and I really love the dynamic between the two. They obviously have a chemistry being teammates and all of that, so they're going to produce good wrestling whenever they're in, no matter the time or not. The match was fine. I don't know what you thought about it. I thought the match was fine. It was a little short, but it was more of the same of last week. Really.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, but I think my biggest issue was that it was the same as rematch as last week. I thought last week had a pretty definitive win with Liv, so it wasn't like a sketchy finish that needed a rematch.
Yeah, it's like kind of unnecessary. I don't know. Are you a Ruby Riott fan?
I wasn't really. Like, in terms of the Riot squad, I was more on the Sarah Logan part of it. I enjoyed Sarah. I didn't really like Liv as the juvenile delinquent at the age of 28. I didn't really do it for me. Ruby Riott was fine. I do like Ruby Riott's slightly newer, added look. She's certainly very good, but Logan was the one I cared for the most out of the three of them.
Riott to me is someone that should be way more. She should be placed way more like. I don't know the word. She should win a lot more.
Yeah. She should have a stronger presence.
She's 0-5 since returning. She's 0-5 since returning. Ooh. And it's like, what are you doing, Ruby? And Liv, on the other hand, is like, I think she's like 4-2 since Ruby got back. So,
but she also had that sort of rough window with Lana. So in terms of like getting all the kinks out, like she kind of got rid of that in the early parts.
Regardless, I'm a fan of both women. I like them a lot. The match was short, it was little. I really am a big fan of Liv Morgan's finish, and they called it Oblivion, and I was just like, I'm here for a pun.
Yeah, I like it. I love it a lot. Can't be mad at that. And look, to be honest, I didn't even pick it until you just pointed it, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm feeling it. Because I'm like, pun, and then I thought about it, like, oh, there it is.
Oblivion.
I'm embarrassed that it took me this long.
It's her name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Her name, Ian. Of course.
You get it, knee slapper. But yeah, I like Liv. I like Ruby, so I'm never going to be mad when they're on my screen. The stuff they could do with a little bit more oomph and a little bit more time, I think could be really, really fun.
Well, in terms of more time, like
Liv
got the win here again. So where would this go from here? Like, is this... You
can't have a third after this.
Well,
There's no reason. Like, Liv's like, I've won. Ruby's like, I lost. There's no rubber match. There's nothing to go off of here.
Yeah, there's nothing to break the draw. Like, 1-1. It's not happening. So, like, it's great for Liv because I think it allows Liv to, like, although I don't see her in the, like, the title picture or anything right now, but maybe it's sort of getting her way up there.
Climbing that ladder, if you will.
Yeah, because have they picked all the women yet? No. So Mandy Rose and Carmella have a match. And that's so there are no more women.
That's the last spot. No more Raw spots anyway. Yeah. So, but Liv is a future women's champion in the next 2 years, sometime in that time frame. Liv will be in the conversation. Not right now. She's young. She's younger than I am.
That's crazy.
Liv. She's like 23 or something like that. So she's got a lot of time, and Liv loves wrestling. Liv loves it. She's been wanted to do this since she was 10 years old. So I have all the faith in the world. Ruby's kind of a question mark though. Because there's only so many times you can lose before it becomes a little like, who is there to, if I beat someone, does it really even
will it stop mattering?
If someone beats me. So I don't know. Liv, they obviously have a lot more stock in than Ruby.
Speaking of someone that I don't really have a lot of stock in, only because they've been gone for the longest time, Jinder Mahal. So he made his return. He had a match here with Akira Tozawa. Now, what was fascinating is they made very clear to mention the former WWE champion, Jinder Mahal, which doesn't happen often in terms of noticing former wins. But knowing that he was a ex-member of 3MB, was it 3MB? With Drew and Heath, yeah. Heath's gone now, so I was not seeing that again, but... Are you what's your stance on the Jind?
Don't hinder Jinder, anybody. I am a Jinder Mahal fan. When he won the WWE Championship from Randy Orton back at Backlash 2017, I was into it. His run as champion was a little up and down, but I thought it was an experiment worth trying because we don't really get that a lot. It's always kind of the same people at the top. And you can never take away the fact that he is a former WWE champion. They made it abundantly clear
50th,
during this match.
Impressive.
Yeah, so I am genuinely happy to see Jinder. I wish they had him run in and attack Drew McIntyre when he retains the championship of Money in the Bank, because I think obviously there's a history there.
Yep.
It'd be weird not to explore it.
I agree. It's like, yes, we started here, this one place together, but I was champion first, and who the fuck, and granted, you're the championship now. And look, I'm just going to put it out there.
He doesn't have to win the title, but it's fine.
Jinder with the short hair, liking it. He's looking...
Quarantine buzz cut.
He's looking fucking jacked.
He's
like,
jacked.
he already looked jacked, but he looks more jacked. That's the one advantage of anyone that has time away. They always come back looking like mint.
Jacked.
Absolute mint. Speaking of someone that's like just unnecessarily jacked, Ricochet, he had a tag team match here with Cedric Alexander against, what has it got written here? I can't remember their names.
They're like
Ever Rise?
Ever Rise? Something.
That's what it says.
They're from NXT.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're from Quebec.
Oh, there's Canadians.
There's something. But yeah, they're from NXT. They've been on NXT like a couple of times from memory. They were just there to do what they did on Raw. I don't know how I feel. Ricochet and Cedric is a team. I do like one thing about them. I won't say anything negative. I'll say one positive. They have matching gear. And I'm a mark for that.
The only issue that I have is, like, yes, they're both fantastic, but I believe that a good tag team is built of two people that have a difference in approach. As in, like, both, so whatever one person can't do, the other can do. Where here, we're just seeing two flippy doodah dudes mushed together. And I understand why that would be appealing, but when you sort of look at the likes of, well, I can't even say that because I use AOP as an example, and they're like both big punchy dudes.
I think what this is, so when there's two, I see it slightly differently. So when there's the two differences in a team, I'm here for it. That's great. It obviously works because of, the big dude and the little dude, or whatever it may be, or certain things cannot do this and whatever. But the problem with this is when there's two people very similar together, while it works with people like, I don't know, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero when they're a team way back when, is that Ricochet and Cedric are they're the same, but they're two slightly different. They're not like completely the same, and they're not the completely different. They're somewhere in the middle where they're not quite the same. So it's just odd. And it just seems, honestly, like there's nothing better for them to do, which is probably true.
Yeah. I think that's certainly the case. And when you're up against NXT, like random NXT non-TV talent, you know where it's going to go. You know they're going to come out and get the win. But it's okay. Cool, whatever. Look, saying that though, I'm still a big sucker for the Cedric Alexander lumbar check. I fucking love the lumbar check. Oh, like when it's done right and they just bounce. They just get every time, every goddamn time.
You can't. It just looks painful. Like there's some wrestling moves that I'm like, okay, I understand what wrestling is. We all know what it is, but that would hurt.
Yeah, like I don't know how you do that. Like it's like even when someone gets like dropped on their head on like a knee or something. Someone needs someone in one of these matches, and I was like, oh, I don't know how you could do that safely. And it was awesome. But speaking of like tag teams that have a sort of like a dichotomy that I was talking about, or that sort of switch up, Viking Raiders, like even though they are both very similar, like they are both very different as well, with sort of like Ivar doing flippy doodahs and Eric being there.
Yeah.
Because I think, but yeah, anyway, they had a promo this week. I'll let you run about this one if you want to have a chat, because I know you're a big NXT guy.
Yeah, so can we just mention what happened last week with the Viking Raiders and how they were carpool karaokeing?
Yeah, that was cool.
And then this week, So the setup obviously is Street Profits and everything like that for the Raw Tag Team Championships. That's kind of where we're all leading. Can I talk about the Street Profits promo within this as well?
Please, go ahead.
It just kind of ties in together.
Go ahead.
You know what? Not to switch focus from the Viking Raiders, because it was the standard Viking Raiders, kind of shtick we've seen pretty much their whole time. But the Street Profits, I love the Street Profits. I think they're very entertaining, but the thing that they were missing was that aggression and that seriousness to switch it on when it's necessary. And here they actually showed that side of aggression and showed that side of seriousness to be like, hey, we're gonna fight you. I think it got announced for next week on Raw. I think it was non-title, but they want to be the best and they want to prove that they're the best. And there's not really too many other teams floating around on Raw, so it's kind of natural just to kind of go here for the Raw Tag Team titles. But I like that side of the Street Profits where they're showing something else, because you never want to be one-dimensional in wrestling.
Yeah, boring. One of my favorite parts is watching Montez Ford when he does that turn. He's all oh, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a good sort of Jekyll Hyde thing.
I'm into it.
I am certainly into it.
I mean, not much else to say, but
yeah. So with Raiders mentioning, which I thought they should have done way earlier, within NXT. So in NXT, Viking Raiders had to relinquish their titles when they made their way up to main, and then Street Profits happened to be the ones that won it in the match afterwards. So it's one of the situations. Ladder match. Yes, it's one of the situations of well, you never beat us. Your champion's up here. You didn't beat us to gain these titles, so let's fucking punch face.
Yeah,
and I'm down with that. I'm open to it.
Yeah,
I got no room.
I'm fine with it. Simple. It's fine. Simple yet effective.
The groundwork's there, and I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. And the groundwork, I'm like, yeah, no, if it's all laid out very well, it's very straightforward. I quite enjoy it.
Yep.
But yeah, let me have a quick squiz. What have we got? Oh, I think we've got one thing left here, Josh. This is the final part. Let's have a look here. So this is where I saw one of the best gifts, and I watched it 15 times today because it made me feel happy. What started after the 6-man tag match? Andrade bitching in the back with Zelina. Charlie comes up, starts chatting to him. They get mad, leave. Cruz comes up, all happy face, starts talking. Andrade gets up in his business, and they're like, "Hey, you want this title? You can't have this title." And then he touched it, and Apollo's like, "Oh yeah, crack!" Blows.
The biggest slap. Holy balls! That was loud. That was a loud slap.
And then that noise from Zelina. Oh! It's just
Zelina's mannerisms is what I love the most about Zelina. Is she puts the segment from here to here.
Yeah.
Even sometimes when she's out ringside with Andrade or whoever, I watch her sometimes because her facials are just the best. She's always oh my God, and she's always on the edge of her seat. It goes a long way with me because I'm a manager guy. I might not be a stables guy, but I am a manager guy. Yep. I love managers. They're so underappreciated. I think that's why I love Zelina as much as I do, because it's few and far between who are that good at managing or valeting, whatever you want to call it. And that slap was, whew,
yeah,
L-I-T lit.
The benefit of being in a bit of backstage area, like in a little storeroom, there's a big echo already, whoosh, and they just rang off those doors. But that got Zelina fired up, though. She got her at a point of, you know what? Fuck yeah, let's have a title match tonight. United States, you, Andrade, let's go. And boy, did they go. I thoroughly enjoyed this match.
Me too. It was just something that, again, when there's no fans, it takes a little bit to get out of that mindset of, this would be better with fans. It didn't matter. This match was good. There was a story there. There was everything there that you just love about wrestling. I just really loved it. I'm not saying it was the most fantastic match I've ever watched, but, in this time when we're desperately craving something more out of wrestling, it was very good. And it kind of made the atmosphere better with no fans, because you could hear Cruz he didn't want it to end, but the referee was kind of your knees.
Yes, every time so there was a moonsault on the off the apron where Apollo landed and kind of twigged his knee a little bit, and then almost like a shark, Andrade proceeded to attack that knee again and again and again and again, and forcing Apollo to be in positions where he would damage it even further, like jumping from the top rope, etc. Like Andrade made, whether he'd been that planned or meticulous about it, it put Cruz in a position where he only had to hurt his knee further. But yeah, so in terms of wanting that little bit extra, I really quite enjoyed that. I like that rather than just a fight, like when someone focuses on a limb, like there's okay, you've put a lot of thought into this match going in, which I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, so having the no crowds, every time they do get up in Apollo's face and you can see the pain, you can see the struggle, you can see his desire to not quit, because it's one of those things, like if he bows out of this match because of injury, who knows what that's going to mean for Money in the Bank. So later on, the referee does stop the match. Then Apollo is unable to compete, which you can only presume that means he's out of money.
No, I think they announced it. He's gone for Money in the Bank, which is a shame.
It is a
but
shame.
It's building sympathy for Cruz. I love that. Everyone, you feel bad for the guy. I hope this leads to bigger and better things for him. Because he's someone that's hustled and he's just he's had few and far opportunities. And he hasn't had many.
That's very true.
So I'm just happy to see someone, again, I'm just happy for a bit of freshness. And I'm just a sucker for that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed all of this. I thought, in terms of a lot of the kick-outs, that you really saw a drive in Cruz that I hadn't seen before, because like I said, I've not really seen a lot of Cruz, which I really, really enjoyed. I wanted to mention this in the six-man tag, but with Andrade, there was a spot with him and Rey Mysterio where he essentially just picks up over the shoulder, and Rey turns into this beautiful tornado DDT. Because I have such a hard on for good DDTs.
Oh, me too.
Oh, it just blew my mind.
And it was real good.
It was
also
good.
Also Angel Garza shooting his shot with Charlie Caruso.
Oh, and seems to be winning. I
was like, you do you.
Yeah.
You do you, dude. Charlie was all like, yeah, you are pretty. I know. I was like, I mean, I can't blame the girl. Angel Garza is a very pretty man.
Yeah, I'd smooch him. I don't care. I'll do it. I give it a go. I mean, I've been married for X amount of years.
Charlie's like, hell yeah.
But yeah, so
I've been single for a while, guys, if you can't tell.
The lion's hungry, he'll eat. Lion and Angel Garza's round. How you doing? But yeah, so it was interesting to sort of, do you think that by having Andrade get the win by ref decision here, if anything, will allow Apollo to have a rematch?
Yeah, I mean the door is definitely open, and I think us as fans want to see that more. Then if he just won, it would be cool. It'd be like, cool, well, Apollo Crews is champion. But then when you kind of go from that, you got to build to those moments. I'm a sucker for a long story where the babyface chases for a really long time, and that's how you build a good babyface. I think that's a lost art of wrestling in this day and age. Is we build really cool heels, we don't really necessarily build cool baby faces. It's hard to do.
It is very
tough. They just come across as whiny and sad. So sympathy's great, and I think the longer you draw this out, the better. So I'm glad he didn't win, and I'm glad he didn't necessarily lose. He didn't hurt him to. Well, it did hurt his knee, I guess, but you know what I mean.
Speaking of not want to draw things out too long, though, this does bring us to the end of this show. We have gone through all of it. Now, as we do, Josh, you did it in the SmackDown. We're about to do it here now. We do our not-so-patented rating of the show using the power of Kurt Angle. Josh, where does this episode of Monday Night Raw fall for you?
Right here.
A Kurt Nabar, I agree with you. A Kurt Nabar is where it's at for me as well. Yeah. I enjoyed pretty much all of it, but it just didn't quite get to that next.
There was a few dips.
Yeah.
Few dips.
Because we were discussing this before we went live about how there is a bit right now where Raw's kind of better. SmackDown was winning there for a little while, and then they not, and then Raw's kind of going good right now.
Raw's really coming across the thing. It seems like since SmackDown's moved to Fox, it's kind of dipped.
Because it's that weird line of what we were promised that Fox SmackDown was going to be, didn't do any of that shit, none of it.
No.
It's bold
Which
stretch.
is weird.
It's bold stretch.
But hey, means we get better Raws.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, and if I have to watch 3 hours of television, it's got to at least be good. And that we certainly got.
Mm-hmm.
But as I mentioned, that does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, everyone, watching through the Twitch chat. This has been our Raw review. It comes at you every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, head over to facebook.com/group/thepopculturist, Twitter, Discord, Instagram. All those links are on the down below area. If you want to watch the show as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch the show live, just like Chris, Sarah, Justin, Max, Jess. They all did, and maybe someone else there as well. Big thank you to Alex Perez for the follow as well. I did hear the noise earlier on, but I did fail to acknowledge it. So big thank you, dude. It's good fun to come join on the Twitch. You can chat, you can get involved. It's an absolute blast. One thing we'd like you to do is, if you be so kind, maybe share the conversation. Tell your friends, tell your family about this little wrestling pod. You know, be sure to give it a star rating, download it, and my camera's frozen, so give me just one moment. I'm just going to leave it. It's frozen in a good place, so I'm just going to do that, nice. And then we'll go back. Am I back? There, I'm back. Thanks, Discord. But yes, that's pretty, yeah. So rating, of course, download, tell your friends, check out on the YouTube, subscribe, like, all that stuff. We never do the YouTube stuff. We really should, but we don't. And of course, we understand it's difficult times right now, but if you want to support us financially, you can. Patreon.com/thepopculturist, buy merchandise, popculturist.com/shopping, buy shirts and other sort of shit with our logos on it. Now, Josh, if those people have enjoyed you over the last 2 episodes of The Young and the Wrestlers, tell them where they can hear more of your wrestling thoughts.
Yeah, so I have multiple shows, but if you're into my wrestling stuff, it drops every single Friday, called Wrestling Reverb. If you just search for Josh Robinson 00 on Twitter, you can find all the other stuff that I do as well as Wrestling Reverb. I have a whole network of shows, whether you like pop culture, meaning video games, music, movies, stuff that's a little bit more serious, stuff in the ruthless aggression era of wrestling, and everything else kind of in between. I'm at this point where I'll pretty much talk about anything. So if you really just like living your life, come listen to one of my shows. Again, thank you very much for having me on. It has been a blast. Anytime I am invited, I'll be here with bells on.
It's been amazing having you here, dude. Your insight has been awesome. Positivity has been great. And as I meant, I wasn't blowing smoke up his ass, ladies and gentlemen, earlier when I mentioned that he is that power of positivity on Twitter. Josh is by far one of the brightest people in wrestling Twitter. When you're surrounded by everyone's bitching and whinging, it's absolutely lovely to have a voice, or some voices that aren't just like, this is shit, poo poo poo, blah blah blah. No, Josh, it's good. Put him in your feed, put him in your TikTok. I believe his Twitter handle is underneath his face right there. Go check it out, give him a follow. You will not regret it. I guarantee it. But until we come back next week to talk about SmackDown, I'm Ryan Betson.
And I'm Josh.
And we'll see you then. Bye. The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culturist WWE podcast, is fan support over at Patreon at patreon.com/thepopculturist. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: AJ Abatomi, Damian Holdies, Kyle Dunn, Lee Wintershoven, Nathan Massetti, Paul James, Pure Mongrel, and Sean Levitt.